Hello, everyone. Today we are taking a deep dive into the Wall Street Journal story. See the $600 million world of executive perks. We are going to break down exactly what happened here and what the real risks are that every investor should know about. But before that, you are watching Decode Daily News, where we take the biggest business and finance stories and decode them so anyone can understand. If you are not subscribed yet, hit that button right now. So let us get into it. Right at the start, the numbers alone made me stop scrolling. An estimated $20,000 in free booze. More than $100,000 in free sports event tickets. Okay, take a breath with me here. We are not talking about a startup burning cash to look cool. This is happening inside some of the biggest, most scrutinized public companies in America. And when perks like this get normalized, shareholders end up footing a bar tab they never agreed to. It sounds funny until you realize this money could have gone back into the business, or back to you as a dividend. And once you zoom out, the scale gets even harder to ignore. In all, those companies shelled out close to $600 million on around 15,000 perks to their executives and directors. Here is where it stops being pocket change. $600 million spread across 1,500 companies is not a rounding error, it is a pattern. This is only what companies were legally required to disclose. The real number, including everything that slides under reporting thresholds, is almost certainly higher. If you own shares in any large company, some part of this spending touched your portfolio without you ever voting on it. Then there is the story that honestly made me laugh out loud. $492 to cover backup home generator maintenance for Hewlett-Packard Enterprises CEO Antonio Neri. Now hold that thought for a second. A regular household expense, generator upkeep, showing up as a disclosed corporate perk. Sounds almost harmless on its own, just a few $100s. But it is a small window into how far the definition of business necessity can stretch inside a boardroom. And here is where the number that actually matters shows up, whose total compensation was $23.5 million. That is the part that changes how you read the whole thing. A man already earning $23 million a year is having his home generator serviced on the company's dime, and it gets written up as a business necessity so he can run the company during a blackout. Maybe that is true, but it also shows how creative the justifications get once a perk culture takes hold. Small line items like this rarely move a stock price on their own. What they reveal is bigger, a mindset where every comfort becomes a corporate expense if someone can write a good enough reason for it. The club memberships were where things really started adding up. Restaurant chain Texas Roadhouse gave its CEO $131,000 in 2025 to cover his initiation fees and membership dues for a country club. Now that number alone is worth pausing on. A steakhouse chain is not exactly known for boardroom extravagance, which is what makes this one stand out. $131,000 just to keep a CEO paying dues at a golf club is a real line item, not pocket change. And the location behind it tells you even more. In the company's hometown of Louisville, Kai. And here is the part investors should actually care about. The company framed it as a way to connect the CEO locally after his move from Texas. Fair enough, relationships matter in business. But that is also the exact language used to justify almost every perk on this list. At some point, the question is not whether each individual perk sounds reasonable. It is whether the whole culture of approving them is reasonable. And that culture question gets a direct answer from someone inside the industry. A lot of these perks are excessive, said Rosanna Weaver, an executive pay consultant for the Interfaith Center for Corporate Responsibility. That is not a throwaway quote, that is a warning. When a consultant whose entire job is studying executive pay uses the word excessive on the record, that carries weight. Her point was not that executives are underpaid. It is the opposite. Most are already paid extraordinarily well, and stacking perks on top of that pay starts to look less like compensation strategy and more like entitlement. As an investor, that is worth remembering the next time a company asks you to approve a pay package at the annual meeting. So, That is exactly where my take comes in. But real quick before I give you my take, this video is for educational purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. So here is what actually concerns me about this story. It is not the free booze or the golf memberships individually. It is how normal this has all become. Boards approve these perks, disclose them quietly in filings most shareholders never read, and move on. What gets ignored is the compounding effect. One executive's generator bill is nothing. $600 million across an entire market is a real drag on returns that nobody brings up on earnings calls. Practically, if you are holding individual stocks, this is worth a 5-minute check. Open the proxy statement, look at the perks table, and ask yourself if the spending matches how the company talks about discipline and shareholder value. Because the gap between what a company says about efficiency and what it actually pays for tells you more about its culture than any earnings call ever will. Now I actually want to hear from you if you found this useful. Tag someone who needs to see how this stuff really works, and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Here is my question for you. If you owned stock in one of these companies, would a perk like this change how you feel about the leadership, or is it just noise?